And we are back once again with Victor Escalante Live. What a powerful lineup we have today. We have Jose Monterrosa, owner and president of Imagina Communications. We have Michelle Wickmandy, who is an expert in Google. And today, what we're going to do is the analysis of a case study of Zak Galindo, a highly successful gentleman who has been able to scale his business, starting with one little barbershop and exponentially growing that to several businesses. And we're waiting for Zak to join us. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Jose, tell us a little bit about what went into this particular analysis.
Yes. First, thank you, Victor, for having us again in the show. And yes, I mean, we have basically reviewed Zach. Oh, there he is. How are you, Zach?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks again for having me on.
Yeah. All right. You got us basically in the beginning of this, and I was pretty much making an introduction of what we're going to see today. We basically review your website, your brand, and we have some ideas that we want to share with you as you move forward. We know for sure that you are a very successful businessman, and if by the end of this presentation you get some in-depth insights of maybe things that can improve your marketing even more to scale up, then I think that we have accomplished something. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ready for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Awesome. So, Victor, do you want to go ahead and share the?
Let me go ahead and pull that up.
Okay, great. So we have some slides. We have a few slides that we want to show today. So first, I want to highlight the way we approach branding, right? And this is basically a basic theory that has helped us understand how to go in depth when we talked about marketing. So we first identify attributes, and we know that those attributes in the brand are associated to benefits, and we know that those benefits are associated to values. Values mean that desired state in which consumers want to be at. So, put in simple terms, an attribute can be, you have two locations in the Houston area, right? And then the benefit associated with that attribute can be you're conveniently located to a lot of your customers. They can get there really fast. And the value that may be associated with that is a hassle-free service. I go in and I go out really quickly. Why? Because I want to go to the baseball game that my kid is having. I want to go to that family gathering that is happening in my cousin's house. So that's the way this basically works. And when we get to the website part, I'm going to bring this back so we can, make that connection, right, with this model and the actual website. So why don't we go ahead and jump into the next slide, Victor? So let us take a brief look at your brand and the things that we found that I think are very important to acknowledge. First, we love the lion. And the reason why we love it is, I mean, a lion has a lot of hair, right? So you have a lot to play with a lion. And also the masculine aspect associated with that brand mark with men, right? It's a lion obviously is a very masculine figure. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense to be associated with a barber shop, we feel. Now, the things that we see as cons, and the next slide, Victor, maybe one thing, and this is all subjective, right? These are things that, we feel, okay, maybe he needs to change this a little bit to make it even better. The shield, the outline that is around the lion, and the lion, to us, it creates that perception of security. So if someone is not necessarily familiar with the brand, they may think that it's a security company. So that is something that sometimes we recommend. Maybe if you have the chance, you may want to consider removing that outline because you don't want to be associated with something that is not related to your business at all, right? This may or may not be happening, but if we were to do like a refresh of your brand, That is one of the things that we will be recommending. Uh, the other thing that we have seen that doesn't necessarily work a lot is having like thin font lines on the logos. And why we say that, because when you try to put your logo on a polo shirt, uh, you're going to have challenges making sure that that the Galindo name remains visible. So when you put your logo, let's say that you're sponsoring an event and you're putting your logo right next to another event logo, such as AT&T, just to give you an example. AT&T has very thick fonts in their logo. So if you put them together, you're gonna see that the AT&T one pops way more, as opposed to having like very thin fonts on your brand name. So those two things are the ones that we picked up like really quickly. Obviously, there's more that can be done about it, but those are the ones that we want to basically just touch on for presentation purposes.
And let me interject something on the psychology part of this, because there
Okay.
is a science to what we're showcasing here. Psychologically, the mind tries to make neural associations to everything that is associated with a brand. So what I mean by that is when you think of AT&T, there are decades of advertising that goes with that. When you think of Apple, it's like you have unconscious associations to the brand experience that you've had with a computer, with an iPhone, with an iPod. It's like, think of Freud called it a schemata. Schemata is all the neural associations associated with that particular brand that they have spent a fortune. They have spent millions of dollars to associate certain things to the brand. And so, what we're talking about here, starting out, Zach, is you're building a brand and you want to get it right from the get go, so that in the future, when people look at your brand, they will have instant recognition of who you are and the associations that they have with the brand, which is what Jose was describing, that fierce king of the jungle. It's like
Yeah.
unconsciously or subliminally, you're sending the message of, hey, if you come get a haircut with Galindo's, you're treated as a lion. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. The king of the jungle. You said it right.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. El
that,
chingón.
that, that is the branding aspect of
Yes.
this, right? Right now, we're strictly talking about the brand logo.
Yes.
But yeah, the things that are associated with the brand logo, that is definitely a different game.
So let's
But
move on.
yeah, the website. So the website, by the way, the barber uh, landing page, I think is perfect. Clean layout, overall consistency with brand colors, easy to navigate. To us, the homepage or that landing page meets basically the basics. Having a section that talks about the business, the testimonials, the map, and the services. Those are the things that need to be, I think, on any landing page. Now, the cons that we saw, and that is the next slide, Victor. Okay, we saw some inconsistency, for example, on details like the button colors. The coffee landing page has a green button. The other landing pages do not. So, I mean, there's something there that needs to be changed, and it's an easy change, right? No, no, no big deal. The coffee shop landing page, we feel like there is an opportunity to make it flow just like the barber shop. And if you keep that consistency in the layout, then you're making it easier for the user to navigate from one to the other, right? So so I think that you have the perfect layout on the barbershop. Might as well just copy that layout. And what I mean by layout is basically the structure, right? Copy that structure and replicate it on the copy and the studio landing pages. I think that's an easy thing to do. I forgot to mention the another positive thing about your website is that you're using Elementor And those of us that work in website design and website development, we know that having a very robust WordPress editor is essential. So in that sense, kudos to you because you're using Elementor, and you're in a safe space by using that WordPress editor.
To
Yeah.
just to illustrate, Jose and Michelle, as far as part of the ethos of the brand, what color do you recommend would be more synergistic or part of the family instead of that green box and that green button?
He can use the black there.
Yeah.
And I think yeah, go ahead.
I was going
Sure.
to say just to have a color palette of maybe 4 or 6 colors, something that goes together. And then I would use the one that is most contrast, offers the most contrast.
Right.
But
And
to have a palette that you're going to use consistently for your branding.
right. And actually, this is related to the other thing that we saw on the copy landing page. That once you try to buy something on that page, you go no wait, not yet.
Okay.
You go to a different like the shopping cart area of the website, and it looks very different from your coffee landing page. So for the user, I think that it may feel that you're going somewhere else that is very different from this, right? So I think that color-wise and layout-wise, there has to be some consistency between this copy landing page and the shopping cart that you have created. You don't have that problem with the barber shopping cart. So again, it's just a matter of doing a few tweaks here and there, and I think that you're gonna improve the user experience. Now, the thing that is related to the attributes, to the benefits and the values, the thing that I mentioned in the beginning, and how is that related to this? Usually we identify what are the attributes and benefits and values associated with your brand. And how do we do that? We either do in-depth interviews or we do focus groups. And why is that important? Because if you are able to identify the right values for your customers, then the way your website look may change a little bit. Let me give you one example. Let's say that the value that I have been able to identify through research is associated with the way people look after they go to the barber shop, then maybe that is the thing that you need to highlight in your website. So maybe you're going to have photos of guys that are dressed in suit and have this perfect, hairstyle going on in their heads, right? And they're going to look fantastic. They're going to look like $1,000,000. And that's the thing that you may want to exploit, because you want people to feel that way. You want people to see themselves. Okay, if I go to this barbershop, this is the way that I'm going to feel. This is the way that I'm going to look. And I need to look that way. Why? Because maybe I'm going to this wedding, or maybe I need to look better at the job, right? I need to rebrand myself, my personal brand. So that's when the values matter. And if you do the exercise of identifying the attributes, benefits, and values, you may end up realizing that you may have like 2 or 3 different groups that have different values associated with your brand. So you may have, one look in your website, and then you may have other looks that may be associated with the values that you identified. But I know that I've been talking too much. I love this subject. I just wanted to give you like a tip of things that maybe things that you can improve. I know that Michelle has more information associated with SEO. So take it from here, Michelle.
Well, the one thing I wanted to piggyback on, Jose, that you mentioned about the lion, and then we also talked about the strength, the perception when you
Right.
pick a hair salon or a barber, and the lion signifies strength. And
Right.
with that comes the confidence. And as Jose was talking about, you want a stylist who understands you and understands your needs. I think you want to leave that barber shop feeling good, feeling confident, and feeling like like you're the king of your jungle.
Yeah.
So
Feel
I really
confident.
like.
Yes,
I love that.
yeah.
Let me give you a tip, Zach. Have you guys ever seen the brand Become the Lion? It's a social media brand that was exploding like I want to say like 5 years ago. You guys ever seen that? It's nothing but graphics. Uh, Become the Lion.
I don't think I'm familiar with it. No.
Okay. Well, I was a moderator of that group. Okay. I
Okay.
was a moderator, and when I joined the group, they were at about less than 500,000. I stayed with them for about 3 months. They were up to like 1.5 million followers. Okay. And it was nothing but simple messages of Become the Lion. And so if you create a social media page for Become the something along the, obviously you can't use the same Become the Lion, but with that what Jose is describing of that segment of the population that you are really catering to, your core business demographic, with nothing but images of what it's like to get a haircut at Galindo's, and to show that basically that bro look, okay? Because let's face it, that's what we're
Right.
talking about here, right? Is that
Yeah.
bro look of millennials and Zoomers who have money to spend, and who aesthetics and personal grooming is very important to them, that they will spend a lot of money on their personal attire and brand and looks. And so if you create that following, you can populate that area with specials that again, it's all organic. You're creating your own funnel, your own sales funnel, to be able to communicate directly with your customers and your followers.
Yeah, and you mentioned social media. Right now, we're just talking about the
Understand?
website, the logo.
Understand?
Yeah, but definitely, whatever happens on the website needs to be replicated on social media. So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
the reason that I went down this rabbit hole is because I'm a professional photographer, and in my mind, Jose, what you were describing is like
Hmm.
I could totally imagine all the different poses and the messaging
Exactly.
that goes with the segmentation of
Yeah.
the customer base. So
Yeah.
let's get on with this, because time is getting away from us. And Michelle, this is your part.
What
Yeah.
so what
Wait.
comes to mind when you're talking about the connection with the lion, though, is I'm thinking of we shape your confidence. We
Yes.
build your confidence. We shape it. You're cutting, you're trimming your beard and stuff. So anyway, such a wonderful business. So the part that I looked at was the search engine optimization. So improving your visibility so people can find you online. I actually did the analysis through SEO. I did it through Moz, and so your pages score pretty good. Um, the coffee, the coffee site scored. You got a really great page score of 91. The barber dipped a little bit to 79, and then the last one for the studios, it went up. In fact, it was has the highest score of 93. So what you're doing is great, but there are a few areas for improvement. One of the things that I would strongly recommend is to have your list of keywords if you don't have that already. Um, but making sure that you have your keywords strategically located in your URLs. So, one of the first things that popped out to me was that there's some inconsistency. So, for example, if you take a look at the first page URL where it's coffee.galindos.com, and then we go down to the barber shop, and here we can see that we have the branded name that precedes the keyword. To get a better score, it makes sense to do the keyword the broad keyword first, followed by the branded keyword.
Like a
And
subdomain.
go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, a subdomain, pretty much.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's just the placement of those of the keywords. The other thing that came up in the analysis was using more header tags. So your H1s, your H2, your H3, H4, H5, and H6. That will also help to improve the visibility of your pages, improve your SEO score.
And the head tags being like the title, right, Michelle?
Right. So the page titles, the headlines, and the subheads, making sure that you're using those keywords of coffee, best coffee in Magnolia, um, rich coffee. Whatever those keywords are that you have found to be the most appropriate, making sure that those are included in those headers. Jose, did you have anything else to add about that?
No. And what about the images being used?
And right, and then that was another area that came up was not all of the images have the keywords embedded in the file names. And I understand sometimes it's very easy if you're in a hurry, it's very quick just to upload the video or the image and then to think that you'll come back later and you'll update those keywords into the file names and the descriptions, those alt tags. But it's that can make a big difference in your SEO when you've got a number of images and videos and different files, just making sure that you have the right keywords embedded in those.
And Michelle, I want to ask you, we're talking really about meta tags that the spiders of all the search engines scroll through to be able to pull up in the ranking. Is that correct?
That's correct. So it's all of that metadata
Okay.
that we need to make sure that we're conscientious of using the keywords strategically. So that also includes your page titles, which I noticed you did a great job with your page titles. The meta descriptions were really good. The studio page, however, it looked like the studio page needed to have a description embedded in that page. But no, overall, as you can see from the scores, from the analysis, a lot of what you're doing, a lot of good things and a lot of the right things. There's just a few things that you can improve upon. Best practices will tell us that to make sure that your title tags are under 75 characters, just to make sure that when it shows up in search, that your entire title tag shows up as opposed to it being cut off. The other area that you might be that you might look at is making sure that all of your descriptions are around 250 to 300 characters. And again, you would much rather be in control of those descriptions and know exactly what you want to say about your businesses as opposed to having Google make those decisions for you.
Exactly. Yeah. If you don't set up the descriptions yourself, Google is gonna pick up whatever it finds, right? And that's gonna be your description. And it may not be the best description of your business on those search results.
Right. I tend to think of the search results, the returns. I think of those as mini billboards. So if you think about going down the street and you see a billboard here and another one and another one, that is how I view the search returns. I just think of a whole page of mini billboards. So it's in your best interest to make sure you're using the right keywords and that you're using the right page titles and those descriptions that will get people to click onto your website. And then I see we're running a little short on time. The only other thing that I would highly recommend is that you think about doing a content development strategy so that you're constantly having fresh content and content that uses those keywords. The search engines love fresh content. I think that you have with those three areas, the coffee shop and the barber shop and then the studios, you have, there's just lots of ideas and topics that you can write about coffee and about the current hairstyles and trends and highlighting your employees. There's just a lot of opportunities with the various businesses that you have. Overall, the analysis came back. The analysis came back really good. There's just a few things that you could be doing a little bit better. So,
If you were to go to a doctor, you're getting a clean bill of health with watch your diet.
yes.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good to hear. And I think for a lot of small businesses, a lot of times it's us handling the majority of that.
Right.
And so, well, thank you for the tips and at least letting me know I was doing something right.
Yeah, you're definitely doing a lot of things right, Zach, and you're. I think you're an example to follow. You have been extremely successful, and I think that as a business owner, you get to a point in which you are basically deciding, okay, how do I scale this up a little bit more? And at that point, you're probably considering, okay, I need to be more. I need to be more in depth with my marketing because I have the basics covered. How do I scale one or two times, at once? And the things that we are mentioning right now are some of the things that we feel that the actions that we need to take to go up in that scale.
Zach, you have the final word. Do you have any questions for us?
So is this something that you guys offer to other small businesses? Is this kind of like, would this serve as almost like the first consultation, and then from there figuring out, okay, we hit these items, these so-called to-dos, the things that you guys recommended to me, and then do you guys work on a strategy on, how to even enhance it? Like I know I got a good score on my landing page, but is there maybe is some of the copy, maybe should we, add a little bit of, razzle dazzle to it, or
Yeah,
things like that? Is that something that you guys handle as well?
Let me answer that
Actual
by
copy of it?
let me answer that by telling the listeners we did not choreograph this, okay?
yeah,
This is spontaneous, and the answer to your question is we're all experts in our own fields, and this is what we do as a team and individually for brands. I'm a legacy media veteran, so I take the approach more of the messaging, the perception of the marketplace. And Jose, why don't you go ahead and tell us your expertise?
Well, I mean, a lot of the things that I had been talking about is basically what I do, right? The branding aspect of things, the website layout, design, and how it flows, and making sure that the user experience is there to make sure that you're delivering on what you promise to customers. And Michelle, I mean, you're the Google expert here. You're the one that analyzes Google AdWords, the SEO of websites. So yeah,
the
maybe you can
analytics.
speak a little bit more about that.
Right. So my specialty, Zach, is I focus more on Google. I focus more on research and taking those insights and inserting those insights into a strategy to help you get to the next level in your business.
And guys, that we're gonna have to leave it there for now because that's all the time we have. So Zach, we got you a banker, we got you an advertising agency consultation. What's next? Do you need a priest or do you need a CPA?
Well, I think those are two of the most important things to have for a small business owner, right?
Yes,
A relationship with a banker, and then a
exactly,
marketing strategy.
exactly.
Because it doesn't matter how good you are at doing what you're doing, if you can't let people know what you're doing and you can't bring people to you, then what's it for, And so,
Exactly.
yeah, I appreciate that. I feel special. I feel special that I got all this.
All right. Great.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna have to leave it there for now. Until next week, go out and crush it.
Alrighty, thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Take
Okay,
care.
thank you. Okay, bye bye.